does not attach weight to the triple robe, and he takes upon himself the 12 ascetic practices. Endowed with these attributes, non-production in his mind of states which are hostile to the perfections, such as meanness. Moreover, in the irreversible bodhisattva no thought of meanness arises, nor of immorality, anger, sloth, unconcentratedness, or stupidity. Nor does a thought of envy arise in him. Endowed with these attributes, moving towards a junction with the perfection of wisdom which is not in conflict with the true nature of dharmas. Moreover, the intelligence of the irreversible bodhisattva becomes steady and goes deep. With respect he hears the Dharma from others and unites all of it with the perfection of wisdom. And also all worldly activities he unites, thanks to the perfection of wisdom, with the nature of dharmas. There is not any dharma which he does not see as yoked to the dharma element, and all that he sees as making an effort towards the perfection of wisdom. These should be known as the irreversible marks of the irreversible bodhisattvas. The desire to go into the hells for the good of others. Again, Mara, the evil one, conjures up the 8 great hells in front of the irreversible bodhisattvas, and in each one of them many thousands, too. Many hundreds of thousands of niyutas of kotis of bodhisattvas, burning, boiling, and experiencing sharp pains, having conjured them up, he shows them to that bodhisattva, and says to him, "These bodhisattvas have been predicted as irreversible by the Tathagata. They have been reborn here in the hells. You also have been predicted by the Tathagata to irreversibility, but in fact you have been predicted to rebirth as a being in hell. Reject that thought of enlightenment. Then you will not be reborn in hell, but you will be one who goes to heaven." If the thought of the bodhisattva is not disturbed, he does not hesitate or doubt, then one should know that this bodhisattva has been predicted by the tathagatas of the past, that he is predestined to Buddhahood, and firmly established in the irreversible element. It is impossible, it cannot be that the irreversible bodhisattva should be reborn in hell, among the animals, or in the world of Yama. That cannot possibly be. Endowed with these attributes, c. patience, one cannot be led astray by others. Moreover, approaching in the guise of a sramana, Mara, the evil one will say, "What you have learned, that you should purify the perfection of giving, too. That you should know full enlightenment, that has been wrongly learnt. You must confess that it was erroneous. What you have been told. That you should rejoice at all the wholesome roots of the tathagatas of the past, future, and present, and of the disciples, beginning from the production of the first thought of enlightenment up to the abiding of the true Dharma, of that you must confess it was erroneous. That you must reject. What you have heard, that is not the Buddha word, that has not been taught by the fully enlightened Buddha. It is mere poetry. What I teach is the Buddha word, that is as taught by the Tathagata. If the bodhisattva, the great being, is agitated, hesitates, and doubts, one should know that this bodhisattva, this great being has surely not been predicted by the Tathagata. Not fixed surely is that bodhisattva, nor is he established in the irreversible element. But if the bodhisattva, the great being, does not get agitated, does not hesitate and doubt, but does flee back to the true nature of Dharma, to the unconditioned, to non-production, then he does not put his faith in someone else, then he does not go by someone else whom he puts his trust in, as concerns the 6 perfections, too. Enlightenment. Just as an arhat, with his outflows dried up, does not go by someone else whom he puts his trust in, but places the true nature of Dharma directly before his eyes, and cannot be assailed by Mara, the evil one, just so, subhuti, does the irreversible bodhisattva become uncrushable by persons belonging to the disciple vehicle or the pratyekabuddha-vehicle. He cannot by his nature go back on the supreme enlightenment, he is predicted to Buddhahood and firmly established in the irreversible element. And he becomes someone who does not go by someone else whom he puts his trust in. He does not go by his faith in the Tathagata. How much less in those who belong to the disciple vehicle or the pratyekabuddha-vehicle, how much less in Mara, the evil one, how much less in the heretical wanderers. It is impossible that he should trust them. And why? Because he does not review any dharma in which he could put his faith, be it form, too. The suchness of enlightenment. Endowed with these attributes, tokens, and signs, a bodhisattva should be known as irreversible. One recognizes the Marahood of Mara when he points out a counterfeit path. Moreover, subhuti, Mara the evil one, approaching in the guise of a monk, will say to the bodhisattva, the great being, a wandering in birth and death is this, and not the wandering of a bodhisattva. Just here do you, monk, make an end of all. And again, that Mara the evil one will expound to the bodhisattva a counterfeit of the path. He expounds this counterfeit path by worldly modes belonging to the plane of birth and death. Of the perception of bones, the first trance, 2. The fourth formless attainment, he says that this, your worship, is the path, these are its progressive steps. Through this path, through these progressive steps you will reach the fruit of a streamwinner, to arhatship. Through this path, through these progressive steps, do you make, just here, an end of ill. No longer will you experience those sufferings which belong to the plane of birth and death. Surely, you will first of all not produce this personality of yours. How would you think of taking hold of another personality? If again, subhuti, the thought of the bodhisattva, the great being, is not agitated, and does not waver, and if in addition he thinks to himself, very helpful to me is this monk who expounds a counterfeit to the holy path. That counterfeit path is not conducive to the realization of the fruit of a streamwinner, 2. Of arhatship or pratyekabuddha enlightenment, 2. Of full enlightenment. He then laughs, very helpful to me is that monk who expounds attachment to me. When I have understood that attachment, I should train in all the three vehicles. When Mara, the evil one, has noticed the laughter of the bodhisattva, the great being, he says to him, you wish, son of good family, to see the bodhisattvas, the great beings who have presented to Buddhas and lords, countless as the sands of the Ganges, robes, arms, bowl, lodging, medicinal appliances for use in sickness. Who have, in the presence of tathagatas countless as the sands of the Ganges, fulfilled the 6 perfections. Who have honored, questioned, and counter-questioned Buddhas and lords countless as the sands of the Ganges, for the sake of this very bodhisattva vehicle, asking, how should the bodhisattva, the great being, stand in the bodhisattva vehicle, while coursing in the 6 perfections, the applications of mindfulness, 2. The great compassion. They have stood, coursed, made efforts in that which those Buddhas and lords have taught, and yet to this day not known full enlightenment. And he adds, though they have been thus instructed, have thus stood, thus trained, they have not reached the knowledge of all modes. How then will you reach full enlightenment ever? If, when he is thus being dissuaded, the bodhisattva undergoes no change of heart, if he remains unafraid, and if, in addition, he laughs and says to himself, very helpful to me is this monk who expounds attachment to me, and who suggests that through these attachments the fruit of a streamwinner, 2. The knowledge of all modes can be reached. Then Mara, the evil one, having noticed the uncowedness of his mind, conjures up a great many monks in that very spot of earth and says, all these are arhats with their outflows dried up who have set out for the supreme enlightenment. But they have all stopped short at arhatship. How will you ever know full enlightenment? But if it occurs to the bodhisattva, the great being, surely, Mara, the evil one, expounds a counterfeit path, then, coursing in the perfection of wisdom, he does not go back on the supreme enlightenment, and does not fall back on the level of a disciple or pratyekabuddha. And in addition it occurs to him, it is impossible, it cannot be that the bodhisattva, the great being, who courses in the perfection of giving, too, who develops the knowledge of all modes, does not fully know the supreme enlightenment. That cannot possibly be. Single quote. D. Supreme Dharmas. He takes up the progressive practice in which everywhere the Buddhas have rejoiced. Moreover, the bodhisattva who courses in perfect wisdom thinks to himself, if, having trained as the tathagata has taught, if, not lacking in this practice, one dwells in attentions associated with these perfections, then one will not fail in the 6 perfections, too, in the knowledge of all modes. Moreover, the bodhisattva thinks to himself, one who recognizes the deeds of Mara, he does not fail in the supreme enlightenment. Endowed with these attributes. 1. The marks of irreversibility of one who stands on the path of vision. 1. Patient acceptance of the cognition of dharma in ill. Rejection of understanding dharmas as form. Subhuti. Wherefrom does the irreversible bodhisattva turn away? The Lord. He turns away from the perception of form, and the other skandhas. Of the elements, sense fields, too. Of the Buddha. And why? Because the irreversible bodhisattva through dharmas which are empty of own marks enters on the certainty that he will win salvation as a bodhisattva. He does not apprehend even that dharma, and so he cannot put it together or produce it. One therefore says that a bodhisattva who patiently accepts non-production is irreversible. Endowed with these attributes, tokens, and signs should a bodhisattva be known as irreversible. End chapter.